Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Caitlin, and I am an organizer with Leadnow. And I would like to thank you for signing up to host a phone banking party to help us pass the Reform Act. Together, we are going to make a really big difference on this campaign, and we're going to have a lot of fun while we do it. So the purpose of this video is to help you understand the bill a little bit better, as well as how the phone banking software actually works. It should take no more than about 20 minutes to go through everything, and hopefully we'll be able to address your questions in the process. So I'm just going to show you exactly what we're going to be talking about during the video. So the first thing we're going to go over is what the Reform Act is, why it's important, and why we think this action will help get it passed. Then we are going to talk about how to use CallFire. We're going to walk through how it works and some of the different things that you're going to be doing using CallFire. Then we're going to go through the phone bank script, talk about a couple of different scenarios you might encounter while you're speaking to people. And then we'll end by going over a couple of quick tips for how to be an effective phone banker. So with that, I think we will hop right into talking about the Reform Act. So why are we doing this action? Well, basically, the purpose of this phone bank is to pressure MPs to vote for the Reform Act in the second reading that is happening on September 24th. Now, MPs need to vote to pass the Reform Act 3 times before it actually becomes law, and this is going to be the crucial second vote. So we are calling other members of the Leadnow community who have signed the Reform Act petition, and we're asking if they'd like to be transferred to their MP's voicemail to leave a message encouraging them to vote for the bill. Now, MPs are able to vote freely on this bill, so there's actually no guarantee as to what's going to happen on September 24th. That's why it's really important that we turn up the pressure now, and because if it doesn't pass second reading, it will die, and the important reforms that the bill is proposing will also die. But if it passes second reading, the fight isn't over, but we'll still get one step closer to making it law, and thus helping MPs become more independent and more responsive to their constituents. So let's really quickly review what is actually in the Reform Act. Now, the Reform Act is a private member's bill that's being introduced by a conservative backbencher named Michael Chong. We often elect members of Parliament to act on our behalf and be responsive to our interests, but parties often demand that all MPs vote according to whatever the party position is. MPs who don't fall in line with the party can receive a range of consequences, such as expulsion from caucus. And this means that your MP may be unable to effectively represent your wishes in Parliament. The Reform Act would actually give power back to members of Parliament and give them the ability to represent their riding without fearing repercussions from the party. It does this in 3 ways. The first is that it removes the party leader's ability to veto local MP nominations. Refusing to approve nominations when someone decides to run as a candidate for that party or overriding the decision of a local nomination process are 2 ways that party leaders have actually clamped down on MPs or potential MPs in the past. This bill will ensure that the process of candidate selection is way more democratic and locally determined, and it also eliminates one of the potential punishments that MPs might face for stepping out of line. The second thing that it will do is give MPs in each party the power to trigger a leadership review vote and remove abusive leaders from power. This obviously makes the party leader way more accountable to the MPs that they lead, and it gives those MPs a way to check the power of the leader. The third thing that this bill will do is give MPs and not the party leader the final say over whether or not a given MP is allowed to sit in caucus. And this is really important because a common punishment for MPs who step out of line is expulsion from caucus. This forces MPs to sit as independents and gives them way less influence over the legislative process, as well as less access to things like funding and support. So as you can see, the Reform Act does a few simple things which will really loosen the reins of party discipline and give MPs more breathing room to represent their constituents effectively. We're supporting it because we see this as just one step towards reshaping our democracy so that it's more open and accountable. And we really think that this is a great chance to help loosen the iron-fisted control of party leaders. So with that said, we're going to now show you a little bit about how to use CallFire. So CallFire is a phone banking system that is going to allow us to reach significantly more people than we would if we were just manually dialing everybody. So the way that CallFire works is that it automatically calls numbers that we've pre-programmed into it and only transfers you through to people who actually pick up the phone. Now you should have all received an email from your host earlier with a link to CallFire. If you didn't, that's fine. You can ask for it now. And then the other thing I'll say before we actually show you the program is that in order to use the program, obviously you're going to need a computer and a cell phone. The computer can be a laptop if you're at a phone party, or if you're at home, your desktop computer will work fine. You may also find it helpful to have a headset for your phone so that you can use the computer and speak on the phone without using your hands. So let's go through it step by step. The first thing that you're going to do is click the link, and it will take you to a page that looks like this. So it's prompting you to create an account. It's really easy. All you need to do is enter your information. You're going to enter an email address, and you're going to enter the phone number that you are going to be calling from tonight. Don't worry, neither your email or your phone number will show up on the call display. We've already programmed a number into the call display that will appear, so no one will be able to get your information. And then you need to enter a password. This is just in case you accidentally get logged out and you need to log back in. You'll be able to do it by using this password. So once you've entered all this information, you need to create your account, and it'll take you into the CallFire page. So you're going to see two boxes here. One on the left is the actual campaign, the Reform Act phone party, and then on the right here you see a training page. Now you can go through the training page if you'd like. It is basically just going to show you what I'm showing you tonight, but if you'd like to click through a little bit, get a little bit more comfortable with the software, feel free to go through it. Otherwise, you're going to click on Join Campaign. And what Join Campaign will do is it will call your phone. It will call the phone number that you entered on the previous page. So make sure that you enter the phone number that you actually want to use for tonight's phone bank. So right now I'm clicking Join Campaign. It's calling my number. It should ring in a few seconds. Sometimes it takes a few seconds to connect, so just be patient. There we go. So my phone is ringing. I'm going to hit answer. And there's a voice that says I'm now connected, and I hear some really obnoxious hold music, which means I am now connected. So once you're connected, it's going to take you to a page that looks like this. So the first thing I'll say before we talk about dialing is that it's really important that you not hang up your phone. Your phone is how you stay connected to this CallFire software, and it's really important not to hang up your phone in between calls. You're going to be speaking through your phone, but when you're done making your calls, you're going to use things that are on the CallFire screen here to move to the next person. If you hang up your phone, it will disconnect you from the software and you'll have to log back in again. It's not the end of the world, but it is kind of annoying, so just try to break the habit of hanging up. Okay, so basically once you're in the screen and you hear the hold music, you're ready to start making your calls. So when you feel kind of settled, you know, we're going to get started. So I'll just show you a few things before we do that. Down here you'll see a notes section where you can type notes about the person that you're speaking to. There's no need to take notes on this campaign, but if somebody says something that you think is kind of interesting or they give you some feedback that you want to share with Leadnow, feel free to put a few things in there and we'll be able to read it afterwards. The script is not provided on the screen because we thought it would be a little bit easier for you if you had a printed copy. So remember to bring a printed copy of the script with you. And over here is what you're going to do when you're ready to start dialing. So when you're ready, you press begin dialing. Oh, no, as you can see, there's a little bug sometimes that causes you to have an error message. So if you run into an error message like this, you can hit the back button, you can try refreshing, and it should work. So there we go. Now it's working, and it's calling my coworker Stefan. It shows his name up the top here, his phone number, and over here on the right-hand side, you can see that it has his MP's phone number and MP name, and that'll be important for when Stefan actually picks up his phone, because we're going to ask him if he'd like to speak to Libby Davis or to leave a message on her voicemail. So sometimes when people don't have voicemails, it calls for a long time. As you can see, it just skipped to a new person because Stefan wasn't picking up. It's also displaying Matthew's MP phone number and an MP name on the right-hand side here. Again, sometimes it calls for a long time if the person doesn't have voicemail. So just be patient, and and the system will flip over to a new person if the person doesn't pick up. Now it's calling Jolyn. We'll see if any of them manage to pick up. Oh, there we go. So Jolyn has just picked up the phone, and we're asking Jolyn if Jolyn would like to be transferred to leave a voicemail on Libby Davies' voicemail. So let's pretend that Jolyn says yes. So what we're going to do is we're going to click the transfer button, and as you see, a thing pops down that gives you a space to enter the MP's phone number. What you're going to do is copy the number, paste it into this box, and then you're going to hit transfer. And as soon as you hit transfer, it allows you to move on to the next call. So now we're moving on to the next call. We're going to call Amara. And it goes on sort of like that. So you also saw earlier that there was a take a break button up in the top right corner. If you feel like you need to take a break, if you've done a couple of sort of stressful calls, feel free to hit that. And it will just allow you to take that break. So I got Amara's voicemail there. So that's why I hit end call. When I hit end call, it basically disconnects me from her and allows me to go on to the next number. If you do hit somebody's voicemail, don't feel like you need to leave them a message. There's sort of no purpose in leaving them a message because we want them to make the calls tonight. So if you do get someone's voicemail, just hit end call like I did there and hit next call to move on to the next person. As you can see right now, I am taking a break. I've been away for a few seconds, maybe to grab a drink of water or use the bathroom. Now I would like to come back, so I hit resume, and it dials the next person. So this is basically how it works. When you are done using the software, you're going to go down to the right-hand corner here and hit end session. And it'll take you back out to the main page here. A couple of other things. If the person that you call does not agree to be transferred, again, don't hang up the phone. Just hit that next call button that was in the right-hand side, and it will hang up the phone on them and move on to the next person. Alrighty. So one last thing, if you do happen to get logged out for any reason, if you accidentally close the browser, if you hang up your phone, if it gives you an error message like it did with me earlier, you can try refreshing, or you can just go to callfire.com and you can press the login button in the top right-hand side, and it'll take you to a page where you can enter your name, your email, and your password again, and it'll take you back into that campaign page. So no worries at all if you accidentally leave the calling page for any reason. Okay, so for a lot of you, this might be sort of the first time that you have gone through something like a phone bank, and there's no pressure at all, and don't feel intimidated. The more times that you practice it, the more that you're going to be able to feel confident doing this action. So we're going to go through the script right now, and I'm going to talk about a couple of different things that might happen while you're talking to people on the phone. And I'm certainly not going to be able to account for everything, but hopefully this will give you a sense of what you might be able to expect. So the first thing you're going to do is call, say hello, say what your name is and that you're a volunteer with Leadnow. And as soon as you say Leadnow, some people may not recognize the name or remember what Leadnow is. Sometimes people forget that we're the ones that circulated the petition. So you can just say that we're an independent advocacy organization who run lots of campaigns, and one of our recent campaigns is the Reform Act. Then you're going to thank them for signing the online petition and ask if they remember signing the Reform Act petition. If they say no, you can try to jog their memory a little bit by saying something like, "It's the private members bill that will give our MPs more freedom to represent their constituents and will make party leaders more accountable." If that still doesn't jog their memory, we've put a one-pager about the bill at the bottom of the script, so you can refer to that for a little bit more information about the bill. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes even just mentioning Michael Chong's name will help people remember what the bill is. If that helps them, or if they do say that they remember signing the bill and they remember what the bill is about, you're going to explain why you're calling. So you're going to say, on September 24th, this bill is going into the second of 3 votes that it needs to pass the House of Commons, and it will only pass if enough MPs vote in favor of it. If even a handful of people in your riding leave a message on your MP's voicemail asking them to vote for it, it will be much more likely to pass. And then you're going to ask them the hard ask, can you leave a voicemail on MP, let's say Libby Davies, answering machine, asking her to support this bill? If they say yes, say great. I'm wondering if I can patch you through to her voicemail right now. And mention that it's important to call that evening because the debate is the next day. And then ask again if they'd like to be patched through. If they do want to be patched through, then that's great. You enter their number, the MP's number, in that box that I showed you earlier, and you hit transfer, and you thank them and move on. If they say no, they don't want to be transferred, or if they say yes, but they're not ready to leave a message at that moment, let them know that if they change their mind, they can still call their MP anytime before the vote on September 24th. Let them know if they're feeling nervous, they can call in the evening and just leave a voicemail so they don't have to speak to the person directly. And then give them the phone number for the MP, which, as I showed you, was on the right-hand side of the CallFire screen. And then thank them and tell them to have a great evening. One other thing I'll just mention is that as soon as you hit that transfer button, you'll be disconnected from the person, so make sure that you thank them and say goodnight to them before you hit transfer. Now, you might encounter some people who are a little bit hostile, who maybe don't know why you're calling or don't want to speak to you. Don't be too pushy. Don't insist that they listen to you, and don't be too offended if they just hang up on you. The good thing about this action is that a lot of people will probably remember what the Reform Act is because they will have just signed the petition a week before. Many people who you'll be calling will be familiar with Leadnow, they'll be interested in this issue, and they'll probably be fairly interested in engaging with you on it. Not everybody will. You might get people at a busy time. They may feel bothered that they're being called, but for the most part, the people that you'll be speaking to will be a fairly friendly audience. So don't feel too intimidated and don't feel too discouraged if you do get a few no's. If you just keep trying, you'll probably find a few people who will be interested in engaging with you on this topic and in being transferred to the MP. And again, you can remind them that it's the evening, there won't be anybody at the office, so all they'll be doing is leaving a message on a voicemail. They won't need to debate somebody on the merits of the bill. Okay, so that's essentially the script. Now I'm just going to quickly run through one more time a couple of different tips to help you feel more confident phone banking. So the first thing that we suggest is that you not call anyone after 9 p.m. local time. You probably won't get very many nice reactions if you call people after that time. So that's just a little bit of common sense, but try not to disturb people too late. Make yourself comfortable. You could be hanging out for a while, so make sure you have all the supplies that you need before you start making your calls, and try to find a nice quiet place to sit down and make your calls. Try setting some goals for yourself. How many transfers do you think that you can realistically accomplish in an hour? We're suggesting that maybe a reasonable goal for starting off is around 5 calls. You could go even as high as 10 if you're feeling really ambitious, but don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes goals can really help you feel motivated to keep calling, but don't feel too discouraged if you have a bad streak either. If you're doing these calls with a group, it's fun to kind of update the rest of the group on how you're doing and find out how they're doing. We found that it really does help you keep motivated, and sometimes sharing those funny stories of things that happened when you were talking to people will really keep morale up and keep the energy up, and it makes it just a lot more fun. And it's really important to prepare before you jump right in, especially if maybe you've never done a phone bank before. Try partnering up with someone else in the group, or if you're doing it by yourself with a family member or friend, and just run through the script a few times and ask the other person to pretend that they're a very friendly person, or perhaps a person who's really not interested in talking to you, and just kind of try to think of a few things that you might say or how you might react in those situations. Don't worry about being perfect. It's okay if it doesn't always go exactly according to the script, or if things go a little bit awry every now and then. The script is really just intended to be a guideline, and you can totally adapt it for whatever scenario that you're in. Familiarize yourself with the bill just so that you can speak to a few general points about it, but it's totally fine not to be an expert. If people feel like they want to know more about the bill, or if you can't answer all their questions, just send them to reformact.ca, and don't get into a super long debate about it either. The point of this call bank, or this phone bank tonight, is not to convince people one way or the other about different parts of the bill, or to really have a big discussion about the bill. It's just to get them to take the action of leaving a voicemail on their MP's answering machine. So try not to get too far down those rabbit holes. And don't give up too easily. If someone sounds disinterested when they first answer the phone, or maybe a bit suspicious or unsure why you're calling, it doesn't mean that you can't convince them to leave the voicemail or that they're going to say no. So just be friendly and sort of stick to the key messages in the script, and you should be fine. If someone does decline to be transferred, it's not the end of the world. Just thank them for their time and kind of leave it at that. And don't get discouraged. As long as you're polite, friendly, conversational, and you don't forget to thank people, it'll be fine. It's not the end of the world if you get a whole bunch of no's in a row. Sometimes that's just luck, and you'll probably, if you keep at it, you'll probably end up getting quite a few yeses as well. So with that, that's sort of the end of the training video. This is our contact information. If after watching this video you still have any questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call at this number, 855-532-3609, extension 5. That will connect you to someone on the organizing team. Or you can use this email address, organize@Leadnow.ca, and we'll be monitoring our emails and phones during the night of the call or the phone bank, so we will be able to respond really quickly to any technological issues that might arise or any other sort of problems that you might encounter. So yeah, don't feel too intimidated about that. We are here to help. So that pretty much wraps up the training video. We hope that this was helpful to you and helps you feel a little bit more confident as you go into the phone bank. I'll just reiterate that we're really excited and really thankful that you've committed some of your time this evening to help us with the phone bank. We think that to make a big difference and send a really strong message to our MPs that Canadians really support a more open and accountable democracy. And yeah, I think we're going to have a lot of fun. The staff have tried out the software ourselves, and we had a lot of fun doing it. So don't feel too intimidated. It's really, really honestly going to be fun. So thank you again for your time, and have a great evening.